Welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
I'm Carl.
And how's it going, Carl?
Oh my God. So Scott and I were discussing the last show, and he convinced me to come back on the show this week. I almost quit. No, none of that. Anyone worrying? We're just having fun. And the fact is, for the last 40 minutes, him and I have been arguing back and forth about other stuff, and we still managed to do the show after and have a laugh about it. Our emotions get high, but at the end of the day, we're still going to be good friends, and we're still going to disagree on almost everything, and that's okay.
What we got here is part two.
Part two, yes.
Of numbers. It was a. How did last week go, Carl?
Oh, it was a mess. I was listening to that thing, and it's like, oh my, we were just going back and forth. But I think, bottom line is we didn't talk about a couple key facts, but we were also looking at different perspectives, right? I think I was looking at overall numbers, and you were maybe looking more at the numbers that you feel that is important to you, and like even numbers down to like sales on individual items. But we can get into it.
Yeah, well, I just want to say I think it was hilarious. Like when I went back, it was exactly what I thought. Is two things. It was funny because I'm like, oh my God, did we really say that? And like we're going on and stuff. And then the other side was we weren't really listening all the time to the other person, and at the same time, I think we were defending issues in the past, and it was kind of getting twisted into, like, you kept saying one thing that kind of like, I'm like, that's not true at all. And you kept saying you're going with your gut. And I'm like, I believe fully in the numbers. It's just how you get those numbers, I think is the difference. And you kept saying you're going by your gut. And I'm like, I don't just go by my gut. Like, my point was that I just don't need spreadsheets to tell me those numbers, because that's not me. If I had to sit there and do spreadsheets, I honestly probably would walk away from this, because spreadsheets aren't my thing. But when I look at eBay and they give me the charts, they give me the information, like they can break it down to every single item you sold. You can go in there and find out how much you make, and then you just take away your cost for that item to actually find out what you're making on that item. And they break it right down for you.
They break it down partially, yes, but they don't have your cost of goods. They don't have your shipping supplies.
Well, that's what I just said. That's what I know.
I'm just saying that those numbers they give you aren't incorrect, but they only give you partial picture.
Yeah, but as soon as you take that number, then you can add in your other, like, you can add in your other numbers. I'm not getting into that part of it right yet. Let's just what I'm doing is just explaining that I think numbers are important. And just because you have a sophisticated way of, wow, we got to talk about this and this and this, that doesn't mean I don't agree with that. That just means I'm not talking about that right at that time. I'm talking about a spreadsheet. It's different. It's not my thing to have a spreadsheet.
Right. But I'm saying that number we came up with is based on the complete formula. It's not just like when we come up with that number, like say 1,500 items, right?
Okay.
That's the end result number.
Okay. So let's walk through it. Let's walk through it.
Okay. Well, okay.
Okay.
So
before we do this, Carl, let's just say thanks everyone for coming on. We're here every Friday. We're on YouTube and Spotify, Reseller Evolution. This is audio only. So Spotify is obviously the podcast. And do we want to get into the comments and just go through them and then come back to this?
No, I want to ask you, how was your week?
How was my week? My week was great. Other than that, everything has been great. The store has been doing fantastic. The eBay has been doing decently. I had I think Monday I had 8 items, but one went to Puerto Rico with a bad address, so I had to cancel that order, and one was going to Germany, where I had $15 shipping, and it was going to cost me like $40 or $50 or something. So I had to cancel that one. So I guess that wasn't quite 8 going out. Then I had a couple big sales go out. I had a model car go out that I paid $20 at a yard sale, $135 for that,
Oh, nice.
and I sold my native wood carving for
Yeah,
$100. So
that's awesome because we talked a lot about that one after the show, I think, as well, trying to figure
yes,
it out.
yeah,
That
and
was
that was
really
a Value
that's
Village
quick.
find that I wasn't expecting to find. I actually thought I got a cow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Actually, I got the toy soldiers that day too, so that was a really good pick at a Value Village. But the one that I thought would probably be the first one to sell was that cow, and it's still here.
Yeah, it's weird, eh? You never
It's
know
weird.
everything.
Anyways, Carl, how was your week, bud?
It was good. Like for some reason eBay woke up. So I'm not sure what's up with that. The only annoying thing is I sold my guitar, which was like a, it's like a guitar except it has a piano on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Oh my god. I didn't have a proper box size for it. So I had to Frankenstein two different ones together.
I didn't think it was that big, was it?
Yeah, well, it was big enough. Yeah, it was
Like
long.
it's smaller than a one of those guitars from what do you call those
Guitar Hero, yeah.
Guitar Hero. It's smaller than that, right?
Well, not really because it came with the original box.
Okay.
So, and I didn't want to just wrap up the original box, right? Even though that box was pretty well destroyed.
Yeah.
So I had to put in a bigger box, and normally I would have one, but I didn't. So I had to Frankenstein two together, and that took me, I don't know, 40 minutes at least to do. And then I go to ship it. The person who bought it's in Ottawa. I could have just delivered it to their house and saved
All that
hassle.
hassle.
All that hassle. And the funny thing is, you know how much it cost me to ship that huge thing? $12.
Really?
Yeah. It's always funny. It's sometimes you like my joke is you send a Smurf to somewhere, it's like $25 shipping. You send a board game is the same cost. It's so weird. But yeah, anyways, this was cheap, but I was so upset because I totally would have just dropped it off. So that was annoying. But the sales for the week were good. I did have one issue though when I went to ship like a train set, and it was good because it was in a, these PC trains, HO trains. They produce anyways. They're big train sets, and the guy said, "Well, I actually don't even want the box. I just want the trains inside." And he said, "If you drop the shipping, will you just wrap each train bit up and send it that way?" And I say, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah.
And so I went to pull it out, and unfortunately, when I pulled it out of the original box, the train has these kind of like sidings on it that held all bent and broken. And so and it's like, oh man, I didn't disclose that. I didn't even notice it. Someone probably crushed the box. Who knows? Even maybe me. And so I said to the guy, well, if I take $20 US dollars off of that, will you still take it? And he went, oh, bummer, but yeah. And that was it. I like if I find damage like that, I give a significant discount. I've never ever had someone come back saying, "Can you take off more?" Because I'd rather just give it a good discount, and I don't want to resell it because it's a pain in the butt to sell. So it's like I won't make a lot of that. But that like that Germany thing you had, sometimes things happen and just the way it is. But it was good for that. I didn't go garage sailing this weekend, and the other thing I did is I went down to a flea market to check out booths because they have this Sunday only flea market thing, right? Where my friend Tim has his booth. And so I went down there on Sunday, hot as balls, man. It was frying. They don't have AC in that place. So everyone's like just dripping of sweat. Anyways, I go in there and there was a perfect booth right at the front entrance on the main level. Like everyone will have to walk by, but someone had already taken it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm thinking about that because it's like the only problem is you have to be there. Yeah. And it's every Sunday. But it'd be kind of cool because I might like it. Sometimes I think I might not like something until I try it. So yeah. And I go ahead.
Is it something where you would be able to source and find stuff as well?
Yes. Okay. So normally I have sourced stuff from there before.
Oh, okay.
Good stuff. But I went with Amy, my wife. And so I knew I'd spend long enough talking to people in there. And she's like, reselling isn't her thing. Yeah. So she's like, this place smells. I just want to go. She didn't say that, but I could tell that she just want to hang out. So I looked around very briefly, but yes, I have sourced from those places before. And
go ahead.
I was going to say, I talked to another booth owner I kind of know there. And he says, yeah, I show up at 5:30 to source.
Yeah, I was going to say when you have those things, um, being a vendor gives you the option to go through there before anybody else, and you get to look at all the new stuff people brought in. So you'll find that to be a huge benefit. But you'll have to probably get up early to get there. So
I know 5:30, Jesus.
5:30, you got to be there by 5:30. That means you got
It's
to
an
be
hour
up.
away too. It's not even
Oh
like
my
next
God, you'll
door.
be up at 4 o'clock.
I know.
How long do you think that'll last?
I know. That's it. That's kind of my. I haven't committed to anything. What I'm doing now is I have a shelf downstairs.
Yeah.
And it's great because I have an excuse to buy all the crap I normally wouldn't. Say, oh, it'll go in the booth. It'll sell in the booth. And so basically, once I have a couple of these big shelves filled, then I'll know I'll be ready, right?
Okay.
They actually did have a spot available, but it's far down a corridor. And it's like, I can wait. I'm not that anxious to. And I think it's $35 to $45 a week, not a month.
Okay, I was going to say a month. That's pretty good, but
I know. Hey,
yeah.
so was that 180 a month? About maybe 200?
Well, if I was to bring up my spreadsheet, I would say that I'd have to sell so many items at this price.
Well, my gut says it's about $200 a month. But the thing is, like, if you're doing that too, you don't have 10% commission. And I'm social, and I need my social time, and that can actually be part of it.
One thing you're going to have to get used to is the hagglers. But another thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn so quickly how to haggle.
I know that is something that's bugging me already, and I haven't even done it yet.
Yeah, because you're a nice guy, and I think if someone came in there and like, don't be afraid to say no. Who cares? You're not going to upset them. They're trying to do what we do. So you have to make sure you got your price point. So just a second, I got to look at my spreadsheet and see what I can do for a lower price. Dude, he's going to be, you do that, he'll run for the hills.
I know. For this shit. I know. I've seen people run for the hills when people are like start counting things out one by one. I've seen buyers just like walk away. It's like, I'm not doing that. 5 hours.
That's a great one. Have a little book there, like says accountant right across it.
Put on my glasses.
Yeah, I'm gonna look through my spreadsheet. Now that's what number is that one? I know it was right here. I know. I'll tell you how much it's right. I know how low I can go. I just have to. You got a calculator, sir? Can I use your phone calculator? He'll like, forget it. You know, so
I'm not selling anything. It's weird.
Let me look on eBay. I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, that's the one thing. So, like, not everyone prices their stuff too, eh?
Yeah,
that kind of annoys me. It's like don't make your price up on what I look like. I'm not a fan of that, but that's part of the flea market too, I think.
Yeah, I think you'll learn very quickly how to do it.
And this is a flea market, not an antique. The people do have antiques.
People will have antiques.
They 100% have antiques, but it is a flea market. It's not an antique market.
But you're going to learn the process and what works for you and stuff like that. So, give it some time for sure, and you'll start knowing what items you don't have to bring home because people will want. You know what I mean?
You leave everything there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So you can look at it like storage if you really want it. And I tell you, some people definitely have this. Some people definitely like it's storage.
Yeah. Some people use the antique storage too, right?
I know you're not supposed to do that, but people are people, right?
Yeah.
And one last thing is
that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done it. Well, like there's a spot available, and I'm coming in, umming and ahhing. Like I was running by Amy too, right? Because like she works Monday to Friday, and then I'm gone for one of the Sundays. Like it's not really fair, but ironically, it's closer to her parents' places, which is usually if we're going to do something on Sunday, that's where we're going. So ironically, for me, it's actually closer.
Are you going to have like a money belt or one of those little clips on the side for change?
I want the change one. You know, they go tink 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 tink, and I'm not even joking. Like I have all these silly questions that I'm not going to get into now, but it's like, what happens if you have to go to the washroom? Like you just leave all your stuff there. Like what happens with your cash box? Are you watching that thing like in case someone comes?
I would keep cash on me the whole time. I wouldn't have a cash box at all.
No, you would have the fanny pack kind of thing.
Fanny pack or something to that effect. And you're probably going to have your neighbor vendor who's going to watch your stuff when you're gone, and you'll watch that person's when they're gone. So like, you're going to want to go for a coffee and stuff. Dude, it's too bad. If you were close here, I'd come over and I'd say, "Hey, Carl, go to the washroom, bring you coffee."
Yeah.
I would enjoy that. I'd
Well,
probably be there. I don't know if I'd do it every Sunday, just because I have the booth. If I didn't have the booth, 100%, I'd be there every Sunday. But
like in this case, my friend Tim has his booth right across. Would have been right across from where I could have gone on the spot. That would have been perfect because
that
he was
would
like,
have been
"Oh man, that would have been good because you could watch my booth and vice versa and stuff like that."
yeah.
But
And
alas,
those locations are hard because they come up very very rarely. You know what I mean?
yeah, he had a spot, so he had a few spots. Like it. Don't get me wrong though, it's packed.
Oh
Like this
yeah,
last Sunday, it was. Oh yeah, it was like jumping there. It's not like I was talking to one of the vendors who I kind of know there, and he says, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of people, but not necessarily buying, but there's a lot of people going through." And they
well,
also have like
I find
antique.
that those places, once you find your price point, you'll make tons of sales. So I know people that go to the antique shows, and you're going to see people there with like crazy prices. But the guys that make the money are the ones that just have the lower cheap stuff that just 10, 15, $20, and
Yeah,
people will buy that all day long. And you get so many people there going through that it's nice to have a couple big items maybe behind you in your booth. I don't know if you're against a wall or how it works, but if you have like shelving and your expensive stuff there, but your cheaper stuff's on the table, every now and then you'll do one of those home run hits, but everything is on the front tables is what's going to sell. Like,
yeah. This place everyone has a wall behind them.
yeah,
It's like a core. It's like it's kind of like I think it might have been an old pig pen or sheep or something like that. It kind of
yep,
has that look to it.
yeah,
Smells like it a bit. It smells like it a bit too.
yeah. That's the draw. That's what you love about it, man. It's old
Yeah.
farm. Like it's like awesome.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely was a farming place, and they also have tables outside.
Okay.
So, and the big thing here is people are getting these little wooden cabins, and they just rent those for like $20 or $30. And those are outside. So, yeah. So that's another thought. And then quickly now, just yesterday, I happened to see one of the guys who runs the antique mall out in Almont, an hour away, a different direction. And I was asking him if he had any spots available. I was going to email him, but he was like right there. And he said no, but to send him an email to get on the list. And yeah, so I was like, I have little feelers out in the water, but we'll see how that.
Yeah, if you don't mind going Sundays, probably in your case, the flea market's the way to go. And the only reason I say that is because you need a lot of inventory to keep filling those booths. And it's certain inventories too. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
And you're paying by space. And in that case, the bigger the space, the more it's going to cost, but the more better you're going to do. And a lot of people, it's tougher. You know what I mean? So where you're, and I'll just throw out some numbers here, Carl, but where you're going to go into an antique store, you're probably looking at about 20 to 25% by the time you pay commission and rent on all your sales. You're going to lose off the top. But at the flea market, you can easily take in your about $150 a month or whatever it is. You're going to be able to quickly add that into whatever you're making on average throughout the month, and it's going to be significantly less because you're not paying a commission. And $150 based on what you're probably going to sell is going to be a lot. It's going to dilute that rent a lot quicker. So you might even be paying 10% on what you sell. You might even get that low.
You're just paying for your spot, your goods, and your time. Your time is the other way you're paying for that.
So what is it, like a 10 by 10?
Yeah, they look 10 by 10. I'm sure they're all a little different, but yeah, 10 by 10s.
Okay. Yeah. So $150 a month, 10 by 10. Now you got to be there. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to put that into all the equation.
Yeah, I just said that actually. You have to put the cost of your time.
Yeah.
So I think they're open like 8 to 4, but it's add another hour on there,
Did you just say something that I didn't hear, Carl? We don't do that to each other. We hear everything the other person's saying.
Wow, I thought I'd sneak that one in there, just like a
Yeah,
little jab
really.
once in a while, right?
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, were you not listening, Scott?
I listen all the time, buddy.
Anyways, that was my week before we go dwell down the path. But yeah,
Go down that
it,
rabbit
it
hole.
was good. I found a nice camera this week, so I'm happy about that. Like,
Nice. Well, how much did you end up selling that keytar for?
that was $250 American, I think, something
Yeah,
like that. Plus
270.
shipping.
I think you said. I like before. I know you've told me before, but I just wanted the audience to hear it because that was a great sale. So,
Yeah,
and I
that
don't
was
think you said it
definitely
today. So,
a good sale. Let's see. Yeah, you're right. 270 American plus shipping.
yeah, I just don't think you said it to the audience, so I just wanted to re-emphasize that so that you get that in there because that's a great sale and people should know about that. And I've never seen a keytar out there before, but I'll definitely be looking.
Yeah, I never. It's the sort of thing that would just grab your attention.
Yeah,
because it's brightly colored and different.
and it almost looks like a toy, though, right?
It almost looks like a toy, yeah.
Yeah,
but
very good.
Hopefully everything works out on that one. And if not, well, at least it's nearby.
Yeah. Now it is time for
questions,
comments.
So, do you want to read the first one?
Why is this setting? I haven't read these. Is this setting up for me?
Yeah. You can read the first one. Go ahead.
Oh my God! Let me just say, just starting. Hopefully, I won't cry because numbers make me cry. I can't really comment on being slow without pointing a finger at myself.
This is from Right Selections, by the way.
Right. Sorry. Yes. Right Selections. You got me so nervous about reading the question. I just went right to the question. Yeah, I think I am to blame to some extent too. But with almost 12,000 listings, you'd think something would still be selling every day regardless. I'm curious to see what the 12,000 listings is, but I'm trying to get more listings up, especially now that I have several hundred print ads.
So Don,
okay. Now I know. I clicked on read more. Now I know why you. This is a book. This is like our talk shows. There's so much information here. Okay, I clicked on read. I saw like 3 lines, and I'm like,
I know you're like.
Then I click on read more. Several hundred print ads. Okay, let me just go read this then. To get through, I'm not sure if I noticed fewer resellers out there because I have just not been as active in the reselling community in recent months. So it could also be that people who look like they have disappeared are just off in their own worlds like I am. Yeah, that's hard to tell. I know that comment came up there, and you said Jackass Retro felt the same way, but I'm not 100% sure either. I kind of slowed down watching so much YouTube. You know what I mean? I'm just so busy. And I think it's because it's summer. And the movies I have in the background are horror movies most of the time now. I used to have resellers. Lonnie and Candace and Craigslist Hunter I'll put there all the time.
Yeah.
Harry I'll put in there, but for the most part I'm watching horror movies. Because I can just listen to them mindlessly in the background.
And that's speculation. I have no evidence of any of that.
Yeah. People who get mad at resellers somehow think resellers are stealing from them, I think. Yes, we talked about that as well, and I think they just don't understand all that's involved. But if you have a price in mind and you get the price, then why get upset about it? Like Carl said, and that I know what that's going to one of my comments there. Like Carl said, nobody is getting mad at Walmart for sure. Agree with that. Selling items more than they bought them for. That's how retail works.
Exactly.
Scott, can I ask you what town that town-wide sale is in? I was going to a bunch, but haven't in a few weeks. So Right Selections must be near me then.
Yeah, she's west of London.
West of London, okay.
Strathroy, I think.
Okay. I was going to a bunch, but haven't in a few weeks because I'm trying to get through the stuff I've already bought, and that's being too frigging hot even at 9 a.m. I've been to Strathroy, Mount Bridges, Lucan, Ilderton, and I think like Ilderton to me, I went there one year and I was really disappointed. I thought it's just north of London, and I thought it was that small little community, but it's been built up, I guess, with a lot newer homes and stuff, but I didn't have any luck in Ilderton. So And I think one or two others. I can't remember at the moment. I didn't bother with Exeter for some reason. Consider going to Ingersoll. Um, so what town wide did I was that last week? Like I just went around here last week and I was really happy I did. I think there's one coming up. I'll do that a little bit later. I'll let you know a little bit later in the show where I'm going to go this week. I haven't bothered with Photo Room, but I used Photo Fuzz for background.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, Ruby because it still kept the soft shadow. I get that. Okay, I just use the white background. That's what's working for me, and I love it. You as well, eh, Carl? Just the white background.
I use a Amazon Lightbox, which
Okay.
has a white background.
Yeah.
I like it because for one thing, it's one spot like I can keep clean because it's in a box and it works well. And I think it takes great picture, and great pictures, and yeah, it works. But I think honestly, as long as you have like a good wall, you can take pictures against.
Yeah.
A lot of people
If
do
you
well with that.
if you go to Scott Sell stuff on eBay on eBay, you'll find well, I was going to say Etsy too, but I haven't listed anything there for probably 8 months now. But if you go to the Scott Sell stuff on eBay, you'll find my store, and just it's got the beaver image on there. You'll see it. I haven't bothered with Photo Room, but I use okay. As much as I ramble, I'm so bad. I am a horrible rambler. In YouTube comments, I haven't been able to bring myself to use ChatGPT to write my description. I don't do that. I just use the AI from eBay. I think that's me speaking, by the way. Back to the comment. I think those frills are better suited to Etsy than on eBay, but I keep things more to the point because nobody reads anyway.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I do use ChatGPT to generate tags for Etsy items sometimes, though. Carl. Okay, this one's for Carl, so I'm going to really find out what she's saying here. Actually help. Oh, okay, so it's a good comment, Carl.
yeah.
Carl actually helped me to pare down the details that I was tracking because so much of it is advantageous to me and caused me more stress than the whole thing was worth. What am I saying here? Details that
She's
I was
saying
tracking.
like if you write down if you track too much,
yeah,
it can be actually not worth your time.
Right, and I would agree. That's what I'm agreeing with, though. That's what I say.
Yeah, there's a balance.
Yeah. So I only enter when I paid in total for a lot of the stuff from my given place. If I paid $50 on a box of stuff, I know I'm going to make more than $50 on net, then whatever. If I'm buying postcards, I know our return on investment, I like that, is going to be hundreds of percent. Exactly. It just has to be an estimate. All I know and all I need to know is that my big picture numbers are headed in the right direction. Better than year before. All right, going to start a second comment before lose this one. Well, I appreciate all those inputs because that reflects on what we were talking about the other time.
Yeah.
Return on investment for me is something that's important, but I don't put percentage wise on it. I'm probably thinking 30% importance. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing right now. I'm going with my gut, but
I was gonna let that one even go. Yeah, it's like
no. But I think return on investment is still an important factor to keep in mind. I think Carl is saying that
the numbers get stupid if you're not careful. Like if you buy, like I always give the example, you bought something for $1 and you make a net of $1 off of that. Like that return on investment's amazing, but it's totally not worth your time. So
like I don't sit there and say what's my ROI on this item. It just I quickly calculate it in my head, right?
Yeah. No, and I'm not even talking about stuff you're buying. I'm talking about I've seen other YouTube channels where they show that percentage, and I'm just saying it's just silly. It's like I made 2,000% off of that.
Well, I think to mention it on YouTube, and I say this lightly because I do this all the time because I think it's interesting, but it's almost like bragging rights. It's like, hey, dude, I got this on, but that's why we mention it to people because it's like, dude, I can't believe I got it for this amount. Like, you know what I mean? So we're having fun with it.
I guess, but some people seem to take it much more serious, like they're tracking all that. And I'm just saying, in what we're doing, it's a like interesting number maybe, but it's by like any equation, it's worthless by itself.
Like, just it's in my head. Your brain automatically calculates that. With the ROI, I know if this is worth $100 and I'm paying 10, my ROI is completely intact. Like, that's where I need to be.
Yeah.
But I know if I pay $75 for something that sells for 100, my return on investment is not where I need to be. It's just simply calculated quickly, but it's, you know what I mean? And if I find something in the garbage,
yeah,
and my return on investment's huge, and that's even infinite. Awesome,
it's
right?
Infinite. But like I'm saying, is it's not even useful. It's not a useful number.
I think it's a huge useful number.
Oh, really? By itself, I think we're agreeing, and I don't even think we need to continue further because I think we're actually.
I don't know if it's a useful. I don't know if it's a useful number because I don't know what that really is. What your intention of that comment is. I think it's right? I think it's an important number.
I think it's the number you get at the end, but it's not a number you can make a decision on. How about that? Well, I've said to you before, if I say there's 1,000% return on investment on this item if you buy it, can you tell me if you should buy it or not? Just based on that number, and that's it. That's all I say.
Well, okay, but no, right? I can say.
But wait. You can answer that. You can say no, right?
Okay, listen. If you can buy a Super Nintendo for $10, is that good?
It depends what I can sell for.
Well, it also depends if it's smashed into a million pieces too.
That's also true. This is
right.
Also true.
So I think it's a variable that's calculated in your overall decision.
That's right.
Nothing is its own variable,
and that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but it is important
because often, well, it's not. How is it important? Because okay, it can be important, but it can also send you the wrong direction. Is what I'm saying. I individually, it can send you the wrong direction. That's what I'm trying to say.
Here, can you catch a fish with a worm? Yes or no? Can you catch a fish with a worm?
Yes.
Well, you need a hook, you need a fish line, you need a fishing pole. You can't just catch it with the
worm in your hand under the water. And
well, then you need your fingers. Right? Like,
okay, I'm not going to get silly, but
if you put the worm on, if you put the worm,
I see what you're saying.
If you put the worm on a rock, you're not going to catch anything because there's no fish on the rock. Like, what I am being silly, but I think the whole concept is silly. I think it's important, but it's not the only variable that's important. I think there's lots of variables. Condition, is it working? Is there's so many variables that make sense.
Well, those variables are going to make a difference to what it ultimately sells for,
or what you're buying it for.
Well, inversely, that's how it affects it. Like if something's perfect, new and packaged, right, and sells for $100, I'm probably willing to pay $50 for it.
Why $50?
Up to $50.
Why up to $50?
Because there's enough margin for there to be worth it to me.
Enough margin or return on investment.
Exactly.
Right.
But the margin is there because margin is different than. Is it different than return on investment? Yeah, it's different.
I mean, it depends how you look at it, but the way I look at it is there's no difference. It's kind of the same thing.
Okay, I'm going to put an asterisk on that because they are different to me, but I don't think I have enough brain power this second to go in. And we're getting stuck into this comment.
Well, see what
Dawn. It's Dawn.
Dawn did.
He's a troublemaker. Yeah.
Is this Dawn? Is this the one that was
Dawn? Yeah. This is what I've been complaining about offline all the time. Yeah.
Awesome. I think return on investment might be more important for items that you're paying more for to avoid overpaying and losing money. Yeah, it's all part of your decision making. Losing money and thought that you were making a profit. But when you're buying in bulk, another subjective term I know, or spending under $1 per item, it's not going to be very important. Yeah, but it's still there. And I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's still there because you don't have to worry about it is the only difference. Or if you're buying a lot paying a lot for an item, you need to worry about it. But you don't need to worry about it if you're paying nothing for an item because it's there. You know what I mean? So it makes sense because it's all you're already there.
Okay, let's get back into that. Let's put a pin in that for a second and get back into it because there's some things I want to talk about.
Yeah, like
About that
this
aspect.
is part 2, Carl, and we're
I know.
already an hour and we haven't even got through the comments.
Oh God, yeah, we're not even finished through Don's comment yet.
Jeez, let's just keep going. We got to go. You read the next one, the next 2 by the same.
Oh my God, I didn't even realize. I just read more on the second comment. It's another book.
Oh, there's read more. Ah. Oh, I didn't notice that either. Okay, you know what?
Don, yeah, we'll come back to you, Don.
I think we're just gonna have to skip the numbers thing. I think we'll just finish out the comments for the day because I think people get it, Carl. I think they get it. You know what I mean? And we're just gonna get into a rabbit hole. We're gonna go great. Let's just comment on the things.
Well,
I'll let you have the last word on the numbers for today, and we're gonna move on next week.
No. Let's just put a pin in Don's comment because it's like we'll get back to it next time. The second half, it is long. I want to keep going because I don't want to just do Don's comment. Okay,
well, you make the decision of whatever you're talking about. I don't know. I see Savvy Chic. I want to hear what she has to say.
Well,
let's just go for it. Let's just see what's going on here.
Jesus.
I should be doing my bookkeeping every month. I have been slacking, but all the info I actually need on eBay and Etsy with shipping costs and Stallion Express, so that helps.
Yeah,
Carl.
Yeah,
is this why you wanted to skip it? I don't know. What are we saying? I'm saying people have bad memories. Me right here. Oh, that's what you said that comment. People have bad memories. If I don't look at my stats and compare to last year, I have no idea how actually I'm doing. As for setting goals for I want to make in a year, I'm not good at setting goals and sticking to them. Deadlines are a massive source of anxiety for me if the deadline is self-imposed. So for now, better than last year, as good as I can muster. Promoted listings, I think that all depends on what you are selling. I found very little, if any, difference in my sales when I'm promoting versus when I'm turning promoted listings off. If I was selling toys, clothes, shoes, etc., the promoted listings would almost certainly make a difference, though. I admit I don't care. I don't actually know what I need to do to sell money times per month, especially with the paper stuff I sell with being in the summer. I'm afraid I would find out that I need to be pulling 16-hour days, 7 days a week, if I go off the percentage of my items that sell every day month. Carl, do my math.
Yeah, so that's what the math can do for you. You might not like the answer, but it can do that for you.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing math and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying the spreadsheets. I don't know. When I see spreadsheets, I see like I want to go to the beach and sit on the beach with a beer and just veg.
Honestly, though, the spreadsheet, it doesn't take that long to do because.
Yeah, but it's not my thing, dude. I don't need it.
I don't think you have to do it.
I know my numbers. And you know what? Let me just say.
I remember what I wanted to say before. The big difference here too is that when you're doing eBay, the numbers are a lot more important with online sales, I think, than even with offline sales, because offline sales get a little funky. Well, actually, with you actually know, because you have SKUs at your antique mall.
Yeah.
So, but you don't really track a lot of the stuff like what's in your booth, where on eBay it's really tracked to see what's on eBay. So it's a lot more difficult if you're doing booth stuff, and maybe that's why the numbers are less important, or you feel you don't need to have the nitty gritty. And on online sales, it's so much easier to get the numbers because you know how many listings you have, you know how many you sold in a month, you know how many you listed in a month, and you know what's the overall value of your inventory online, because eBay gives you all those numbers. So a lot of the numbers you don't even have to do anything to get.
So I'll agree with you on this, for instance. Like, if I was to say, how much I'm making per hour, and is it worth having 3 booths against just selling on eBay? My gut would say no, but I don't know that. I enjoy the booths and I enjoy eBay. I enjoy this so much that I'm not overly concerned with how much per hour I'm making. I'm more of looking at the whole picture. So I probably couldn't break it down per hour. I could if I wanted to by just looking at the numbers, but I'm not interested in that. I don't really care. I don't want to waste my time calculating something I don't really care about, because I was doing this when I was working full time because I enjoy it. It doesn't even feel like a job to me.
Yeah, and
Doing
like
this,
you said before, it's like,
doing this podcast feels more like a job.
oh no, I don't like hearing that.
I just kidding, Carl. But what I'm saying is, like, per hour, I don't know. Like, Steph helps me for free. In return, she puts some of her stuff in the booth where she doesn't have to pay rent. But her assisting me is invaluable. You know what I mean? So, I mean, do I need to calculate that? Just because we don't really care. We just kind of help each other out. I had a friend of mine who volunteered, he's from the booth, to fix the beak of a duck that I had for sale. He did it for free. I offered him to give him money. He goes, "No, I enjoy doing this, guy." Like, those little things help with the sale, but do we have to calculate all those hours?
Well, you don't calculate everything, but you want to know, like, if you're trying to make a living.
Well, but this is what I'm saying.
And you have bills to pay, and you have a mortgage to pay.
But the numbers that I keep track of tells me how much I'm making, how much I'm spending every month.
Well, remember what I said last time?
What's that?
Remember what I said last time? I said, if you don't want to keep track of anything, right, have a separate bank account.
Sure.
And that will tell you if you're making money or not, because it's black. And you don't need to do anything else. You'll see it in terms of just.
It's even less complicated. If you're doing this full time and with no other income, you're going to soon quickly realize that you're not making money.
I'm just saying, if you don't, I think it's important to calculate if you're doing this for full time income, because I've heard of people having to stop and being kind of, they didn't see the train coming down the tracks. You know, I'm not saying this is you, just to be clear, right? I'm just saying our memories are faulty, and we tend to remember, well, honestly, I remember bad things so much better than good things. But we also might remember, like, that guitar. Oh, I made, good money on that. But what I'm forgetting about is all the other crap I sold that hardly made me anything.
And I'm not disputing that at all. And I've had this discussion with Steph many times. Now, there's people in the booth that are saying that they had a bad month. You know what I mean? But a spreadsheet's not going to help them with that. How much they're paying per item, what size their booth is. Like, there's a lot of things it's going to make a huge.
That's funny, because I would argue that Excel sheet would help them.
Well,
but booths, like, it's harder to calculate for the booth, right? I'll admit that.
I'll tell you what's making them have bad sales right now. They're overpaying for their items and they're overcharging for their items in a booth. That's what's happening right now. And if they want to make more money, they probably have a small booth where they're only appealing to a certain demographic that comes through those doors. I can tell you right now, if you fix those things, your sales are gonna totally triple.
So at minimum. You mentioned two things there. They're paid too much for their items, right?
Right.
So that's the average. Their average cost per item is too high. That's in my Excel sheet. The other thing you mentioned is they're trying to sell for too high and their sales are low. Well, that's my turnover rate. So I actually do have both of those figures in my Excel sheet.
And I'll go back to what I've said. If that helps you and that's what you need as a tool, then by all means do it. But what I'm saying is, I don't need that. I don't need that,
and that's fine.
That's all I've ever said. If it's a tool that helps you, right?
It's a weather vane. It's saying a storm is coming, or the sun is coming, or warm weather is coming. That's all it is. It's a weather vane.
But let me throw this at you. If somebody came, Scott, you know what? You told me to do these spreadsheets, and I said, well, Carl actually told me to tell you this. But Scott, I did these spreadsheets all year. I put so much time and effort in it, and my sales didn't go up. And I'm like, yeah, because
Well, just calculating something
because we
doesn't.
had a horrible winter. Because
Yes, but
you
that's why we use. I feel like I'm repeating.
know what I mean. So
What am I going to say? Everyone in the audience, a rolling average 12 months.
okay, so but he did it for the first rolling 12 months, which was a year ago, and he's
Well,
saying
no, that's not a year ago. It's over the last
how
year.
many months in a year?
12.
Oh, okay, so 12 months, not a year ago.
Yeah, but anyways, well, Don, you have successfully derailed the train. I just like to say
I'm
congratulations on
so
that.
Carl. I'm so bad.
That because there are some things I wanted to say some things
I
about the
get.
subject matter, and I know
I
that
thought you
now.
had the ADHD, not me.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure, but I think like I, I'm sorry, everyone. I know no one mentioned the prize, so I don't think. Oh wait, actually, I say things
Just
too
wait.
quick.
Wait. We got to keep on this.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
just saying, if the spreadsheet isn't going to make you do better, it won't.
I agree. It will not. All it is a reflection of how things are going. It's
Okay.
a mirror showing you without emotion how you're doing.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. Jesus.
A mirror. A mirror of emotion. That
Without emotion. A mirror showing how you're doing
dude.
without.
That is a t-shirt ad. If that's a movie, that's like a movie title.
Uh-huh.
What? Say that again. Mirror without emotion.
Now you're
That's
just teasing me.
no. I'm being serious. I'm
It's
being
just a
serious.
mirror
But,
showing you without emotion a reflection of how you're doing.
no, just the mirror without emotion.
Okay.
Like you look in the mirror and there's no emotion. Like I don't know. I know I'm digressing, but that could be a horror movie or something.
Oh wow.
Mirror without emotion.
Okay, well I'm gonna copyright this stuff.
Yeah, copyright that. That's a great one. Anyway, where are we going? Where are we?
I don't know. We're halfway through her comment, I think. She talked about promoted listings. That's my own bias as well, but
I
other
think all
people swear
depends on
by
what
them.
you're
So
selling. Okay. No, that's been in debate by many people for a long time, the promoted listings.
yeah,
I
we
do
won't get
5 to
into that.
10%. I just do it.
Yeah, I think there's are good arguments both sides, and it really depends, like you said, on what you're selling. So
Like if somebody could come to me and prove that it makes no difference, I would shut that sucker off in a heartbeat. But I even when I put 5%, eBay gives me this little like in blue highlight. You are not going to get as much views and listings. It could reduce your sales. Just let you know. And I'm like, okay, 10%.
yeah, and I, as someone who doesn't promote, thank you for pocketing the CEO's pockets with more profits for eBay
I
on
know.
my behalf
I
and
know.
keeping my costs down. So
Wow.
thank you,
You
Scott.
you don't promote?
No, that's another. That's like I said.
Carl, put your hand on a Bible and raise your left hand and say, I do not promote.
Oh, I'm a liar. I do promote one thing, and I tried it just for the hell of it. My Hello Kitty cards, I promote at 2%, the minimum rate, and I just did it to try it. I never actually look at the results. Like I don't look to see if it actually makes a difference or not.
Yeah, I don't look at I just kind of close my eyes, do it in regret and hate towards it, and just say, you know what? I pay more than 13% at the booth. So I'm up probably about 20 to 20. I've always said this before, depending on
Yeah.
how good the booth does. And I just kind of like, okay. And not everything sells promoted listings.
Whoa. Let's talk about promoted listings on another show. I think it's a topic worth talking about. But let's try and get the train back on the tracks. Thanks, Don.
All right. But I do want to say something, but I'll hold on to that until next time.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
All right. I admit I don't actually know what I need to sell, or I'll do my math. Okay. Well, I already read that. So the price is BS. There's that BS. That's my initial for the booth. That price is BS. Okay. It's okay, Carl. I laugh too. Yes. That's I get that so much.
Yeah.
Not so much now, but when I first had that, like
we're simple creatures. What can I say?
yeah, but it was. I get it. It's funny. I know that sorry, hang on. I know that I can't go by intuition, but I get so overwhelmed with numbers that it will make me want to quit altogether if I keep it all because I end up feeling incredibly dumb about the whole thing. Luckily, I'm small potatoes and I only have myself to be concerned with. And that's another thing, too. I think if I had employees and, you get to a certain point, I think, because especially when you start forecasting, you know, and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which I think I do. I think we all do on a simple level now, but when it actually means something because you got other employees and you got to include their costs and all that kind of stuff, it can. I understand it can get very complicated, and that's what accountants are for. I still wouldn't do it myself, but um, I don't dispute the spreadsheet. I just say it's not for me, especially right now. I don't need it. I don't
You're
need
doing
it.
so well that you don't need to do this stuff. It's for
Yeah,
people
and it's
who,
working for me, but I have nobody
yeah,
to rely. I'm nobody's relying on me for a job. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but you still have your bills and everything, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's I have no other income. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I wasn't making money on it, like we'd all know, like I know about it, right?
That's my
So
point with like what I was saying. If the only thing you do is you have your separate bank account, that's enough because you'll
yeah, if you're
quickly
doing this
know.
as a hobby and you got two incomes, definitely a second bank account is going to totally going to tell you that, right? So
Yeah, I think it's when people mix their personal with their eBay, then they, and especially when they have a job, then they don't really kind of know. But it's there's no extra cost to having an eBay account, and like I have a credit card for my eBay and all that stuff, and like
right.
everything comes out of that one account. It's just like I said, black and white. You can't trick the bank into putting those numbers differently than what they are.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. The problem is if you're doing it as a hobby, you're probably not going to want to open up that second a bank
Yeah,
account
but
for
it
that
doesn't
too at
cost
the same
anything
time.
really.
But
It's not that big a deal.
or
It's
or or
even
or
hobby,
have
I would say it's worth it.
like I get weekly payouts from eBay, but can you go monthly? You can probably go monthly.
Yeah, you can do monthly. You can do daily if you wanted to, but I go
Yeah,
weekly, and that's good enough for me.
yeah, I do weekly. Um, okay, so we're just about finishing up here with Dawn. Um, tuition. Heads up, shabby chic has been trademarked, so you can't use that in your titles and tags anymore. Oh yeah, for shabby chic, I was talking about at the store, at the booth, but
Yeah.
that's I did not know that you couldn't use it. It's been trademarked. Really? Huh. That's interesting. Where's my prize? I'm still here at the end. Wow, Carl, you said the prize. You were a prize. Wait, what is the calculator you're talking about for bidding on auctions, Carl?
Right. So
I'm
that's
sorry for those novels. LMAO. Oh, that's all right, Don. I enjoy the comments for sure.
yeah.
But what was that calculator you were talking about?
Oh, it's just like I mentioned before. It's just an Excel sheet to quickly say how much I should bid on for online auctions for items. It's just a
Yeah, see,
self-made
I
Excel
don't
sheet.
use that either, Carl. Like you're very what would the word technical maybe? Would you say you're
Well, I was a
technical?
programmer, but
So
like, can I give an example?
yes.
So like, say there's a camera that sells for $200, online auction only. It's an hour away. There's fees involved, taxes, and everything.
Yeah.
I can say what margin I want, and it'll tell me how much to bid. That's it. Right.
Okay.
So you usually I put the margin, like let's say it's a $200 camera. Like what usually the margin on like for online auctions is much. I'm willing to pay more for an online auction than I would going around to garage sales because I know what I'm getting without having to leave my house. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have to pick it up if I win, but I actually put that into the calculator. So let's say I'm making up a number. Okay. So let's say I'm willing to net $100 off of that camera and it sells for $200 plus, I don't know, $20 shipping on eBay. I can type in that it'll sell for $200. I put in the shipping for $20 and it will, and I say my margin, I want to make $100. It'll just pump out how much I should bid on that auction how much the highest bid I'm willing to do.
Right.
It'll come up with that number itself. And then so I can quickly say, put in that number and then just put that into the auction, not even think about it. I won't go higher than that. And I'll know what margin I'm going to get. It also calculates like how much I make per hour doing that. So like, I actually want to get that into the numbers part. So I'm going to leave that a little bit. But basically, I want to make a certain amount of money per hour of my work, right? So it will show me that number too. It's not hard. It's just because otherwise I was kind of guessing how much to bid on that auction, right? Like if that camera sells for $200, right? And then the shipping is $20, and you want to make $100, how much should you bid? I'm asking, Ashley, how much should you bid?
Oh, if I want to make $100?
Yeah, and you can sell for 200.
I was kind of zoning out there, to be honest.
I know. It's like when the teacher says, "Scott, can you answer the question, please?" You're like, "Oh shit."
I'm like, shabby chic is like, you can't say that word.
Okay, that's okay. I space out all the time.
Okay, say that again. $200 camera.
It's an online auction.
Okay.
$200 camera. You
Right.
know you get $200. I'm giving you the numbers, okay?
Okay.
It sells for $200. It costs $20 to ship it, right?
Okay.
So the person will pay $220, I guess, in a way.
Right. So the $20 is who cares? Okay.
Well, yeah, fine.
Right. Okay.
And then you want to make $100 off that camera.
Right.
You want to net 100. How much do you bid in the auction to guarantee you that $100?
$50.
And I can know exactly what to bid.
It actually would be a little less. I would say probably about $40. $42.57 is what you're going to come up with. But that's because you got to pay 10% and taxes on the other end.
So I can actually I'm being nerdy now. So I have my actually calculator up.
So I give you my answer in about 6 seconds.
But you're wrong.
Okay, what's the answer?
Well, what was the number you came up with?
I said it's about $42.57.
The answer is actually $48.54.
Oh,
so I'm going to bid higher than you. I'm going to win the item.
Did you put the 10% or the 25% on the buyer premium and taxes?
Yeah, all of that is in the calculator.
Okay. So I would have made $8 more than you did.
No, you would never have won it because I would have bid higher than you.
I would have went and bought another camera for $42.
Yeah. You see, you're just trying to sneak out. The bottom line is, if you and I were both bidding at an auction, I would have won it and walked away with the prize, and you'd be at home.
Well, I'm going to challenge you here, Carl. Break down your number. $200. So where's all the money go?
Okay. If you really want to know, I should warn you. It's not just like there's a bunch of lines here.
Don't warn me. Let's break it down.
Okay.
Where's it going? Where are we going with this?
So it knows that you'll get $200 on eBay and $20 for shipping, right?
But the $20 is the buyer's paying that, so that's not.
It doesn't matter. That's how much you're going to get. That's how much gross you're going to get from eBay, right? Because they pay you both, right? So that's $220. It calculates the eBay fee, the eBay transaction fee, which is slightly different, believe it or not, and comes up with a total of $184.72, right? Then you have to pay the $20 for shipping. So that's $164, right? And it knows you want a net of 100.
So hang on a second here. You bought it, you sold it for 200.
Yeah.
And what is the eBay taking away from you?
$28.60 for the eBay fee and $6.68 for the transaction fee.
Okay. That's right. That's okay. I'm just making sure. Yeah. Right. In my brain, that's right.
Okay.
I've calculated that out too.
So it gives you a total of $184.72, right? That's how much you'll get from eBay in your pocket.
How much is the total that they're taking away? I think you lost $10 there somewhere.
What is that? I don't know, $36 or something. No, $36.
That's what eBay's taking.
Yeah, approximately.
Okay, so 36 already is going to get you to 66 or $64.
$164.72.
Yeah, and you said 180.
$184.72, but then you have to pay shipping because that's part of your expenses is going to be that shipping cost, right?
So that's more that's coming off.
Yeah, another $20.
Yeah. So what are you at now?
$164.72.
Okay.
And then you want that net of $100, right? Because I gave that net.
But you didn't take the buyer premium. Okay. Yeah.
I haven't finished talking yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So that leaves. So if they give you in your pocket after you've shipped it, you have $164.72 from the sale, right? And you wanted $100, right? So that leaves $64.72 you can spend buying the thing from the auction house. So using that $64.72, I can work back. I can take out the taxes. I can take out the buyer's premium and tell you how much to bid exactly to get that net that you want.
And are you not leaving promoted listings percentage out of there?
Yeah, I don't promote, so I don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
I could add that if I wanted to.
So my number would be right for me because I do put in promoted listings, and your number would be right for you.
Well, I'm allowed promoting as well. That's just an option thing.
Yeah, but you don't do it. I do. So my number is going to be different than yours.
Well, your numbers give me even less, which means that I'm going to win the auction. Right.
Yeah.
I'll win the auction, though. You won't get anything because you'll have not bought the good.
Yeah, but I would have sold it where you wouldn't because I got promoted listings.
Yeah, see, you're just trying to save yourself.
Am I?
The math here,
dude. So if you're gonna win it by paying,
you do you. I'm just saying, the reason I have this calculator, right?
Yeah,
is so I can quickly see how much I should bid. I would like to bid less. Don't get me wrong. This is my max bid.
Okay, so I do it my way, and I've got so much inventory, it's bonkers.
I'm not saying you have to do it this way. I'm just saying, for me, it's been very useful that I can just change a couple numbers on here and see how much to bid exactly, because it keeps into account the buyer's premium. It takes into account the taxes you have to pay on that, so it can work back that number. That, like, if the max I'm willing to pay for that item is $64.72,
yeah,
it can work back and say I need to bid $48.54.
And how much did it cost in gas to go pick up that camera?
Well, actually, I can calculate that too if I wanted to.
Yeah, so you would have got closer to my number. That's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, but I don't use bloody gas because I'm not like a Neanderthal Flintstone guy.
How long do you got to sit at the gas
and electricity? How much is it going to cost you? So even more, I can bid on this. I'm sorry, you brought it up, not me, by the way.
How long do you got to sit at the charging station?
Zero.
Zero. If it's in London, Ontario.
Anyways, I find it useful. I even get nerdier too because I can see. I can see if I want to make $50 an hour, how much that net. Remember I said I want to make $100 off that camera. I can even see per hour how much I'm going to make by doing this if it's worth my time. Now, of course, real life gets in the way sometimes, right? Nothing's perfect. Like if I buy the camera and it doesn't work, that blows all that way. But that's true with anyone too, right? It doesn't make.
I'll be honest. I'll be super duper honest with you, Carl.
Oh, thank God.
If I saw an auction.
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to pay more than $20 to $25 for that camera.
That's fine. I'm just saying you're losing out on the opportunity if you need that opportunity.
My experience with cameras from auctions is that there's a percentage that does not work.
Well, the camera's just an example.
Yeah. No,
right?
but I'm just saying
I can put laws, it doesn't really matter what the item is.
No, I'm just being honest. I'm just being super honest. You would win. You would win the auction every single time because I I don't know if the battery's corroded.
But
I
that's
don't
true
know
for me too. I
if
like the numbers here are just made up, right?
yeah.
Like I just like for me,
So
I
can you
take that
go?
into account too.
Can
That
you
that
can you go
net,
to your spreadsheet and find out the percentage of cameras that
I
you
could if I really got nerdy.
that
But
are
you know what I do for that sort of thing that you're
what's
talking
that?
about is I
What's that?
want a higher net
You
because I
what?
want to account for the bad buys, right? Like
Yes.
really, I might say, oh, I'm just making this up. This is just an example, okay? I might
Yeah.
say I'm willing to make $50 on this camera, but I'm actually going to say I want to make $100 to account for
Right.
that crap that happens, right? Like
Right.
because like the
Okay.
net I
Yeah.
want,
I can see that then. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
the net I'm putting there is just what I want.
Yeah.
I could even, if I really want it, and I actually do this, but I don't really use it that much. But I could say if I want to make $25 an hour, right? And actually, I have this here, but I don't use it that much. But I can say if I want to make $25 an hour, and this camera takes me an hour to work on, right?
Yeah.
And 2 hours of travel time, it can work back and say, okay, based on this is how much you want to make an hour, and this is how many hours you had to put into this object. This is how much you need to bid on that object, right? I can do that. Like honestly, I don't, but I can do that.
Right.
Now,
You know what? And if you were running like a huge business with multiple employees, maybe those kind of numbers start making sense because your profit margin is probably going to be about 10-15%, maybe in realistic terms, right? So those, let's say 10%, those couple percentage points can make a huge difference, right?
I think that's true. But also the other reason I do this, and like I said, this is for online auctions. This is not for in-person auctions. This is online auctions.
Yeah, but I still think.
Well, wait a second. Just the reason I'm doing it for online auctions is because I find if you don't bid to your max, your bleeding edge, you often don't get stuff. Sometimes you'll be amazed. Sometimes you'll get something for $1.
Right.
I've experienced that. I picked up these board games. There's at least $300 American of value in these board games. I thought I had to bid up to like $87 or something like that. I got it for 18.
Right.
Right? Like that's great. I'm just saying bleeding edge, I would have bid and made profit by bidding up to 87. What I don't want to do is not know what I should bid up to and either bid too much online or more likely bid too little.
Right.
And lose out on the opportunity.
Yeah. No, I get it for sure. I mean, you're using an example of a camera, so there would be other things like a gasoline service station porcelain sign, like an authentic older one. Like I think I would be willing to pay a lot more for that than a camera.
It doesn't matter what the object is. Like it's not a camera.
It does because there's more of a chance. Like there's no chance that sign's not going to work. Where there's a chance that the camera's not going to work. So, but those are my variables in play. I'm going to sell.
Yeah, that might accounts for that though. Like it doesn't matter what the object is.
I'm going to be able to sell that sign for good money very quickly. And I'm not saying cameras don't sell quickly too, but because they're bread and butter for you, and they're
don't get stuck on the camera thing because that's just an example of an object.
What I'm saying, you're reading me wrong.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we pick differently, but it's kind of the same result. So you would pay higher for a camera, where I would probably pay higher for something else that I'm more inclined to like. You know what I mean?
Well,
or be more in my
doesn't care. The math
be more in my range.
Like, okay, let's change it to that you mentioned that gasoline thing, right?
Yeah, I forget actually what I was going with this because, but I was going with a direction. At the end of the day, I was just agreeing with you is all I was going to say. I was trying to use that as an example, but anyway, sorry, go on.
Anyways, basically, I just changed that net up and down based on the pain in the ass something is too, right? Like, cameras are a pain in the ass. So if it was like, what's a good example? Okay, say it was a sealed digital camera, like still plastic wrap. The net I'm willing to accept on that is much lower than if it was open box, right? That makes sense? Because if it's sealed,
Right.
then there's no work.
Right.
If it's open box, I got to test it. So I'm willing to make less money actually on the sealed one, right? Do you agree with that?
Yep.
So,
okay.
So I can take that into account when I figure out how much net I want to pay.
All right.
Should we go on?
I'm looking at the time here. We're into this quite deep. We still got like 3 comments to read, and I just we got to keep going. So
okay, well you don't blame me, man. You're taking the train off the tracks just as much as I am,
dude. I say
you.
This all the time. I ramble on. I'm the worst. I get it. You don't have to convince me anything like that. I know it, and I think Dawn's right there with me. She's the same way. All right, so I'll let you go with doing it wrong here.
Okay, I think it's hilarious that I got you to read Dawn's and you didn't know how long it was. Okay, I recently discovered an app that auto imports all your eBay information. Justin Resells makes Flipwise. It's a 2,000 to 5,000 listing store, which puts me at. Oh, sorry, I'm a 2,000 to 5,000 listing store, which puts me at the $50 a month to use the app. It looks pretty functional, but the price point is more than it's worth at the moment. Hopefully they realize they're overcharging sooner rather than later. So what does it do? It auto imports all your eBay information. Okay. So Justin Resells is someone I am sub to. I think actually he might be the one I was complaining about for the return on investment, saying it doesn't really help you too much. But if his information is good, then yeah, $50 a month, that's quite a bit. I don't know anything about the app though, so I can't really comment on that. I assume you don't know anything about the app, Scott?
No.
So we can't comment on that one. I'm just going to go to the next one from doing it wrong. Heard a good joke about this episode's topic. Hey, baby, I'm a freak in the sheets. Spreadsheets. Nice.
Wow.
You
guys like... I don't know.
He's a programmer too, right?
Yeah, so... I know. I'm just wondering if you programmers just lay awake at night thinking these... there was some meat. I can't go down that rabbit hole. We got to get the show over with. Let's okay.
Going. I'm just gonna read Randy's because you read such a long one.
I like that. That's funny though.
So Randy, Nova Scotia,
Kelt.
I love the show, but I hope you two are still talking. Oh yeah, you should hear us before. We were yelling at each other before the show for 40 minutes.
I just have to set Carl straight in life, and then we're fine. So.
Yeah. I just smile and nod. Okay. You're distracting me again, man.
I'm just kidding. Keep going.
It's like giving directions to someone who's lost. I give the quickest way, but the other person gives the easiest way. Carl, accounting for all these factors is well and good. I was an accountant. But you can't sell an item for more than it's worth. Yeah, I agree with that. Scott, for someone who says they go by their gut, you have a very good grasp of your numbers. But I am with Carl. Oh, I should just stop the comment right there.
Well, that's the thing, because I don't just go with my gut. I just don't feel the need for a spreadsheet to make me know what's going on and what's wrong. That's all I was saying. That's all. And we went down crazy. Carl, you're the one that said, you're going with your gut. Well, I never said I was going with my gut.
Relax, calm down.
That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Take a deep breath. That always works when you say that to people, buddy.
I'm fine and I'm calm.
That's my favorite thing to piss someone off. Take a deep breath.
I know you're trolling me. I know.
Okay, let me finish the comment, Scott. Let me continue. But I'm with Carl. I don't track cost per item. I track number of items I list and dollars I list per month, min and max. I try to at least go over the average. You're both correct. Scott, how about that return on investment, eh? Sorry, Carl, couldn't help myself. Thanks for another video, Randy. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for everyone for the comments.
Yeah, thanks, Randy, for sure. And he's putting that, because I threw that in there like 6 or 7 times throughout the show. And you kept but I didn't put the snoring sound in this one.
I know. It's like, oh no, we're gonna have a soundtrack for every show now. Yeah. Well, if you can bug me about return on investment, I'll bug you on the gut thing. So it'll work out. It's equal.
Yeah, I know. I know that's a tactic in this debating thing that you there's you throw little things in there every now and then to kind of throw the person off track. It's not working. It's all good. I just want to make sure that we're understanding that you brought up the gut thing, and I was just saying the spreadsheet thing is not my way of determining what I should be doing. Like, I can understand how people would find it useful for certain things, but I'm just not going to do it to tell me what I should be buying things for. It doesn't do that to project what I need to be doing.
Okay.
And I that's all I was saying. Like, I don't want to get into this whole thing because we're already 5 days. This show is 5 days long right now.
I know. Can I just say my little notes here before we end?
Okay. I'm going to give you the floor, and I will not rebuttal anything you say. So you can say anything you want, and I'll just sit here and I'm just going to listen.
So I tend to do things. The bottom line is, how much do I make doing this, right? So the numbers should help you with that. They should say, if you know how much you make, and you also have a question of what do I want to make, the numbers will tell you what I need to do to get those numbers. That's what the numbers is about, right? And if you don't know any of that stuff, it's very hard to turn that boat. It's more like a canary in a coal mine. It'll tell you if there's a problem, but it'll also guide you towards what you want. As long as you know as long as you know that. The other aspect we haven't even mentioned really, well, we talked about it briefly, is it's also not about how much you're making overall. It's how much you're making per hour. I'm not the best at calculating that. That's a lot more work. I don't track how much time I put into this. Do you, Scott, at all? Or you just do it when you want to do it kind of thing? You wasn't even listening to me. That's it. Well, we made it to 30 episodes. That's pretty good for a podcast, I think, right? Okay. Since you're interested in these things, I want to know, what did you sell? I have to know what the cha-ching.
I sold a pair of the the insoles.
Oh, that's your third sale of that, I think, eh?
Yeah, but let me just see where this is. Oh, okay, this is going to New Jersey. The other foot soles that I sold, well, one went to the States, so I sold that. I think I told you that about a week ago. But I sold one yesterday.
Yeah,
but it was going to Puerto Rico.
Oh,
the address would not. It said invalid address.
Oh, right. You
so I canceled it. So I'm like, maybe this one is reordering it, but no, this one's going to New Jersey. Yeah, and $50, $49.95.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I think between the two sales, I'm probably like just roughly out of my head about $20 short of breaking even on that buy, and I still have 165 left to sell. So
that's great return on investment.
Yeah. Wow. And I used my spreadsheet to calculate it while I was negotiating.
Excellent.
Well, you see, if I pay this amount, then I can. And the guy said, just take them. I don't want to look at your spreadsheet. So anyway, yeah, so I'm awake now, Carl. So
I was just asking, do you track it all? I don't. How much time you put into this business?
Dude, you're gonna get mad at me. But honestly, I was trying to find the snoring sound. So say that real quickly. Just give me a real quick rundown in like 10 seconds here.
I just asked you a question, which was, do you track how much time you put into your business? Because I don't.
I do not. I don't. No. That's what I said earlier. I don't do that. If I needed to, I just don't, because I enjoy it so much. And I take breaks whenever I want. If
Yeah.
Steph's here and she says, let's go grab a coffee, we'll go for a drive and grab a coffee. I'll come back and finish it. Sometimes I'm working till midnight. Sometimes I'm done at like 2 in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll start at 10 and I'll work lot of the day. Some days the whole day is just going to the booth. And if I want to track what I'm doing at the booth, I can tell you that probably 30% is talking to people. So, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of all, but then Steph helps me too, because she usually comes with me and I don't pay her other than she just puts stuff in the booth and she doesn't have to worry about the rent and stuff. So, and she enjoys doing that. She doesn't want to do a whole booth, but she also goes and talks to people. So we kind of have that kind of thing. So that's free help, which means a lot too. So if there's so much variables in doing this, but I'm having fun with it. It's doing well. Like, I'm not saying that the wheels can't come off. Anything like, we had an incident there last week in the US, but something like that could really have a crazy outcome going
Right.
forward. You know, luckily everything's the way it is, and it looks like things may be calm for a while. But I'm just saying, the pandemic was a. But sometimes these crazy situations, like I remember some of the old timers saying they had a really. I think it was the early '90s. We had a pretty big recession at that time. Like, it was kind of one of the bigger recessions. They said that was the best time they ever made money. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they say alcohol and cigarettes. I've said this before, but sometimes in the time of turmoil, where maybe money's short, people gravitate to those things because it makes them happy. So buying nostalgia and buying something that makes you happy, you might not be able to afford that, you know, $70,000 vehicle, $35,000 vehicle, but I can afford this $100 art piece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
So, and then there's other things that, you know, I remember another friend of mine who said during that recession time, they were doing parts for cars. He was working for a car factory, car parts factory. But anyways, they were crazy. Like, they were so busy. Well, it was because everybody's fixing up their cars because they can't afford a new one.
Yeah.
So when you look at those kind of twists on things, you know what I mean? You just don't know. You don't know, right?
No,
Like,
you can't.
bad economy is not bad for everybody,
Yeah. You
right?
can.
So you just don't know what's going to hit. I think you've said it before. You only worry about what you can control,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where it is. Right now, we're having fun with it. I've never had in my entire life. I've never had so much fun, like just enjoying life, just enjoying not having to get up and go listen to some guy dictate what you're supposed to do. And I say that sarcastically, but there are times where they get riding your butt, you know what I mean, in a
Yeah.
factory.
Yeah.
Or you have to be there. You're only allowed so many sick days. You're only allowed so many days off. You have to call to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, that's factory work. And not having to do that, sure, I'm probably not, well, I'm not making quite as much as I did then, that's for sure, because there's a lot more benefits to working there. But I don't need to make that kind of money. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
the quality of life, I've never, other than probably gaining some weight, which is obvious, other than that, I've never had better quality of life. You know what I mean? My
Oh yeah.
feet don't hurt from wearing steel toed boots on a concrete floor for 10 hours a day. You
I
know,
don't mind getting up in the morning because
if
it's
I
like
have to
I'm gonna
go,
do something I enjoy, right? And as much as we fight, not or debate or whatever, this is what this is what gives me energy, right? And sharing our sales and sharing our successes, but also our mistakes or the things that just happen. That's part of it too, and I really enjoy the social aspect to it. So yes, it's not all about the money. It's not all about the numbers, right? In the end, it's also about like as far as I know, we're here once. Let's enjoy it and have
and
a good
that's
time with our friends doing it, right?
and that's 100% it. We're only here once, and we don't know how long we're going to be here. But if you're here to be 70 or 80 years old, or even more, if you're, depends how you look at it, lucky or unlucky, like, you know, if you're in good health and spirits, and you know, you it doesn't matter what age you are. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is that you're only here for a short time. Even if you live to be 100-year-old Superman, but you'll only live I'll be 100-year-old. That's a very short time,
Yeah.
and you have to maximize as best you can your time here.
Enjoyment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 54 right now, and I just feel like if I can do it at this time, then I'm going to do it, right? So that doesn't mean that there may be a day I have to go back to the factory. That day could come. I'm well aware of it. Hopefully hopefully not, but if it does, it does. They said they'd welcome me back with open arms. So if I can't get in there, though, I'll go somewhere else. But
Yeah.
you know, there's options. There's other options. I know one person on the show once said, and I know who it is. I just won't mention it, but you know, you don't have to have a full-time job. You can be doing this part-time and have a part-time job if you feel that that gives you more security financially. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
hey, that's me. Like my pension, I took a early pension, and this gives me a bit of extra money to play with, right?
yeah,
So
100%.
you know, it's good for and part time. This is really good too, right? Because
And
well, when you're part time and you're not relying on it, right? But
it keeps you active. Like, I can't
Mhm.
imagine retiring and doing and not having anything I enjoy doing. You know
No,
what I mean?
no. That was yeah, exactly. I couldn't do that either. It's like, especially when you're physically able to do stuff. Like there's gonna be a time in your life where you're not able to physically do stuff. Like let's hope that's far, far away.
Yeah,
And until then, why not? But you know, that's the nice thing about antique dealers. Like how many are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s?
all of them.
Like all of them.
Like,
Yeah. Not all of them,
to
but
a
a lot
degree,
of
they're
them.
not all, but a large percentage for
A large
sure.
percent. So it's not like we're doing work that, you know, we might physically move furniture once in blue moon, but it's not like we're hustling it out there, working in a factory, taking pee breaks, you know, whenever we call in. Like
And
that's
we're
not
allowed
this.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not this. And that's bonuses in itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, you can't, like, quality of life, you can't put a value on in my mind. And if you're happy with it and you're doing well, like, that's all I'm saying. Like, eh, either one of us, our system might not be right for anybody. You know what I mean? But it's right for you, and my system's right for me. And as long as
Oh yeah.
it can do what it needs to do, you know.
And the good thing is you can take pieces of both these systems. You don't have to take everything
Yeah.
and still be successful. It's
And
just, you know,
to be quite honest, and I may be out to lunch here, or maybe it's like I have, and I pray that this does not change, but I have no problem sourcing and finding. And I I source a lot, but I don't stress about sourcing because it always seems to fall in my lap.
mhm.
But if the day ever happened that it wasn't like that, I don't know what I would do. But right now, I could say that, you know, there's only so many hours in the day, but I mean, there's other options of. So what I guess what I'm saying is the amount of money you want to make is really how much time and effort you want to put into it. And you could say, well, you're only one person. Well, then hire someone else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you could go, the sky's the limit. You know what I mean? As far as how where you want to take something like this,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So sure, there might be other. You might have to hire more staff and all, like, if you wanted to go completely crazy with it. But that option's there. Yeah. You know, but
Even like
that's all
sourcing, like
internal. That's internal. You got the time. You could do more if you wanted to,
exactly. It's
right?
that for me, that's the critical path. That's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. And once I'm in that rhythm, Carl, once I have my mindset to be in that rhythm, I'm good,
Yeah.
right? But it's getting distracted or being out of that mindset was when I struggle with that.
Yeah. And we had a whole episodes about it because it really is, honestly, forget everything else. For me, it's the most important one.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest one to crack. If you can
Well,
find the magic bullet for that,
it's
let
the
me
most
know.
important, probably because we struggle with that the most. But somebody who loves to list but hates to go out and source, that's their struggle. You know what I mean? That's the most critical part, because they'll sit there and list all day, but they can't get out there. So that's their critical.
There's always going to be something holding you back, either storage, capital, sourcing opportunities, time. It's always going to be one of those.
I remember watching Craigslist Hunter once, where kind of his strength is sourcing for sure, but like, you know, he's built this up where he can go out and he doesn't have to even be there because he's got staff. So he could probably be making, you know, a higher percentage if he was doing the listings and he was doing more hands-on, but then he wouldn't be able to enjoy life as much. So he's got a great little setup. Like, he's got a setup where everything's turning on all cylinders, because he really just has to be there. Obviously he's there more because it's he wants to make sure it's right. But he could be there minimally compared to someone who's trying to micromanage and take it all on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, he's got it set up. He can go on vacation and it's still running. His machine is still running.
Up the processes, right?
If I go on vacation, my machine stops.
Me too. Yeah.
Right.
He has a process, right?
Yeah.
And he's perfected the process over time. And he's not even a factor in that process if he chooses to, right?
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, you know, for me, the nice thing about eBay is once the flywheel is turning, I can stop listing 100% and then still sell stuff for a long time. That's what I enjoy. But, you know, you got to put stuff into it too.
All right, bud. What a great way to end this short show.
This was even longer than the last one.
It is longer. It's going to be cut heavy, though. I got to cut.
Oh, man.
All right, bud. So have a great week.
Yeah,
we're here every Friday, both on Spotify, as a podcast, on YouTube as audio only, and hit the subscriber button. Any last words, Carl?
Nope, that's it. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Friday.
Sounds good to me. Have a good week, everybody.
Bye.